Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your fall break. I think this last weekend, that was it. So here we go into week 8. And before we do that, we're going to discuss the aftermath of the wonderful midterm cycle. Okay, midterm aftermath. Can't say that I'm delighted with the results, but they could have been a lot worse. So first of all, let's check that. Okay, everything. The overall results. Not completely unexpected, meaning that generally the people who I heard from and saw a lot were the ones that did well. The ones I don't generally hear from very much, we're missing a few assignments, and that worked against you. Not completely horrible, meaning that basically all of you have the potential. Those of you who aren't doing well has the potential to bounce back, and those of you who are doing well, just keep doing well. And there's some reason for optimism, and I'll explain what I mean shortly. Now, going forward, here's the really good news. Let's say that you have you've reached the biggest goose egg in the universe, and you have got no credit whatsoever, and this is the first lecture you've ever heard me say. Hypothetically, let's say it's that bad. All of the previous week's lectures from the beginning of the semester are still online. So hypothetically, you could binge watch everything, and you could take yourself step by step through the whole process. And if you are capable of doing that, you can catch up. And so that much is good news. And of course, the minor assignments, most of which you can still turn those in. You know, there's nothing about that. Now, the quizzes are a different story, but the minor assignments, they are available. I would recommend at this point forward that you really concentrate on the major assignments, because those are really what the grade is going to be based on. In other words, if you're, especially later on in the semester when we're approaching the end, don't be polishing the silver on the Titanic, you know, changing the deck chairs and stuff like that. The important thing at that time is going to be getting the major stuff done, which are the objects assignment and the final animation. And really everything else is intended to facilitate that. So that's where your focus should be right now. Practice and learn. I cannot emphasize that enough. Basically, you've got to be in front of the system. You've got to be in front of that program, making mistakes. That's just the way you learn it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm doing the same thing. When I work on projects that I'm doing, they may involve stuff that you are not familiar with yet, but the same process still goes on. I got to figure out how to do stuff. If I want to do something, I have to figure out how, and sometimes that means doing it wrong a couple of times. And so I've got to stay with it. You've got to come back, do it again, try other things. And one of the most important things to understand is that when you try something and it doesn't work, it usually isn't at that moment that you figure out why. It's usually when you're thinking about something else, or you wake up in the middle of the night screaming because you've got this wonderful idea, and you say, I know what I did wrong, and then you try it. And then it could be that's where the genius comes in, because that's how the mind works. Sometimes, but you have to do that process. That process has to be ongoing. You're never going to get revelations if you're not working on it. So seriously, use the exercises as a means of understanding the program. The second half of the semester goals. You know, this is probably the most important time in the semester. It shouldn't be, but it is, because we all have this procrastination thing going on. Basically, the top of the list there is catch the heck up. Catch up with what you didn't do in the early part of the semester. Those of you who have stuff to catch up on, review it if you have to. But one way or another, make sure you understand the basics at this point, because the stuff we're going to be talking about now really needs that basic understanding. Don't waste this opportunity. And here, I'm concerned about you, because I'm just going to be perfectly honest and say that if you really learn the course, if you really learn this program and the idea of 3D graphics, you could have amazing abilities that a lot of people don't have. I mean, this is one of those skills that is not going away. It's only going to be intensifying, and the more you know it, the better off it's going to be. And so I can promise you one thing: if you don't learn anything in this course, or just skate by learning the bare minimum, it's not going to do you that much good. It's just going to be a waste of your time. So I do urge you to try to apply this. Make something great. Make something you can be proud of. Impress your friends. Impress your family. You know, that's really important here. Impress yourself. Have something that you can look back on and say, you know what? I'm proud of that. I did a good job on that thing. You know, maybe you 3D print something, have it up on your desk. You know, years later, I made that sort of thing. Or have it on your demo reel. Have it on your letterhead. You know, these are things that I want you to be able to do that you can't necessarily do if you don't start now. Do it a step at a time. You see, that is the dirty little secret. You can't cram this. Believe me, I've seen people try. You cannot cram this so that you do it all within the last 2 weeks. In fact, I don't recommend doing that with any college course. But if it's something, you know, like history or philosophy, where you got to memorize a bunch of things, yeah, you may be able to cram that in time for an exam where you will probably pass, but within a week you'll have forgotten it all anyway. But here, you actually have to make something, and if you don't have the skills to do it, you don't have the skills to do it. Simple as that. Some of you will need to start taking bigger steps. You're doing it step by step, but at this point, I'm going to ask you to quicken the pace. You know, if you've got some ground to make it up fast because you're going to need it. Simple as that. And so that is your mid-semester pep talk, you might say. And you can take it seriously or not. Really, it's up to you. But only you know what you have done so far and whether or not you're doing your best.